DCM works. Our smugness knows no bounds.
It was probably a song that reminded me of it, or I'd done an Arnold Schwarzenegger voice.
Writing is definitely an isolating thing.
From an outside perspective, that's weird as
It makes
fuck.
us look really mental.
But that is because of what it kind of said about art.
I had fun in bits. There were fun bits.
We went and bought a value pack of straps.
Oh my god, we did. There's a big lesson here to learn about storytelling. Hey guys, welcome back to the Art for Artists podcast, official podcast of Digital and Creative Media Works. My name is David, creative director, lead writer. I'm joined as always by my co-host, Benjamin.
Hello.
Gotcha. And today we're talking
Oh wait,
about...
no, shit, fuck. Benjamin. Ugh.
Today we're talking about the mechanics of Pokemon Go.
Which is basically just an excuse for us to say we were completely 100% correct
It's gonna be Smugfest.
about 6 months ago.
Smugfest 2016.
Yeah.
So Pokemon, I haven't looked at it yet. I'll be
No,
honest
so
with you.
I've been following it a lot.
So I'll tell you what I've seen before we get into anything else.
Sure.
I'll tell you what I've seen of it. I've seen one meme already. I've seen a meme where it's it's a screen capture of someone driving a car, and they've got an iPhone in one hand which they're holding the steering wheel with, and it's got Pokemon Go on it. At the top it says, "Sure, Mum, I'll drive safe," and then it's him with his Pokemon Go as he's driving his car.
Sure.
That's all I've seen of it.
And that was probably made...
That's like literally it.
Yeah, and like there's so much content that was made before the game even came out, and it's really funny going back and looking at all that content. And that's kind of what we're talking about here.
Well, because you had to dredge through the hour or whatever it was.
Yeah, so I went through...
when we were bad at podcasts.
I went through an hour of a podcast, and it was only like the last 15 minutes. One of our earlier episodes would have been like episode 5, like something really early.
Really early.
We were talking about like hype culture.
Yeah.
And how, like, if you get hyped about a game, the game's gonna suck.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about, like, Fallout 4, because that was before that came out.
Yeah.
Talked about Overwatch, because that was before that came out.
Yep.
And we briefly talked about Pokemon Go, because, again, it was before that came out.
And it was, like, at the very end of the episode. Basically, I needed something clickbaity to put in the thumbnail.
Yeah, so
that's
the
what we
episode is
ended up
called
with.
Pokemon Go Will Suck.
Yeah.
And it got a little heat, but...
It got a little heat. Yeah, I got about 10 emails.
Yeah, long story short, we were 100% correct on everything we said in that episode.
I mean, I'll be honest. Look, here's what it is. We weren't good at podcasts, but we were good at what we do.
We knew what we were talking about.
And we still do. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, doesn't surprise me at all.
So, I'm basically going to split this into... Well, I was going to split it into what we got right with our original sort of prediction and what we got wrong. It's mostly... it is just mostly what we got right.
Yeah. Well, because we're not idiots.
Yeah, and I guess part of this is just going to be like, why is it the way it is? Like, why hasn't it sort of lived up to the hype? Because it hasn't. Because the game isn't amazing.
That's interesting to me because all I've seen on my... Okay. So we have Twitter. So I have 2 Twitter accounts, right? I have the DCM Works Twitter and I have the DCM I Hit Pie
and
Twitter.
you sometimes make them talk to each other. It's weird.
Well, because... Okay, so I'm not the only one using the DCM Works team Twitter.
True.
So, and it gets really confusing because people will message us on the DCM Works team Twitter. Sometimes I'll respond, sometimes someone else will.
Yeah.
So it's this fun, like, dice in the air
back
thing.
and forth.
It's fun.
You never know who you're getting.
You never know who you're getting. But one of the things that I have is on my personal one, I follow a bunch of creators and stuff, rather than corporations and things.
Yeah.
And they've all been posting about Pokemon Go because they're in Australia.
Yeah.
And they're all they're into it. Like, they're all about it. They're loving it. They're all bloody about it. But what I think it is that because nowhere else really has it, it's just the excitement of the fact that it's new,
so, like,
you know?
I mean, it wasn't really... It was pretty common knowledge. I've sort of said it in pretty much every episode of everything. But I had the beta for Pokemon Go. I had the Australian field test.
Yeah.
Which was the first English region to get access to the game was Australia and New Zealand. So thanks, Nintendo.
Interesting. You know why?
It's Japan. It's closer.
It's close, and it's also like...
It's smaller.
It's
a small, condensed demographic.
Yeah, and the Privacy Act is really stringent with EULAs and stuff, so they can really sue the shit out of you if they need to.
Yeah, so
also, by the way, before we move on, we will get to your notes. I know that I feel like I'm not trying to prolong. I just want to get some context laid down before we get into it. So when was the beta?
So the beta dropped in Australia around
Ballpark me.
Ballpark, probably around early May.
Okay. So that's interesting to me
Late
because
March.
what that tells me is that, and there was an EULA that you couldn't put out reviews, right? It was just a beta.
You
test.
couldn't. You literally couldn't like have screenshots. Like if you took a screenshot, there was a little watermark across the entire screen that had a hash of your email address. So if you
wow.
leaked videos, they
It
could
was
just
your
find your
address.
account and ban you.
That's impressive.
And
I like
a
that.
lot of people got banned day one because.
You would, yeah, fucking idiots.
So they were very like
Sure.
don't show people.
I
But
just
of course,
wanted to.
the moment it dropped, because it was in Japan before Australia, but
Yeah.
the moment it dropped in an English-speaking country, just so much information just got
Sure.
let out.
I just wanted to get it. I just wanted to get a feel for like what the environment was like beforehand, as
Yeah.
to where it is now. So,
The game sucked
right.
in beta. The game was fucking garbage.
Well, it's a beta.
Yeah, but there was the game itself hasn't actually changed much since beta, but they've
Yep.
done enough to sort of make it seem a bit more of, a bit nicer in a sense. Basically, when in beta, the way the game sort of worked is that there was no point in keeping a Pokemon. Because
Okay.
you could easily just catch one that's stronger.
Sure.
So there was so a lot of people were like, there's no attachment to the Pokemon, you just sort of cycle through just
To
hundreds
get the
of
highest
Pokemon till
level
you get
of
the
whatever.
good one.
Sure.
Like there's no training. You couldn't have like your special one Pokemon and level it up all the way and make it be your strongest. You just throw it away because it's garbage.
That's trash.
And
Like a bloody condom.
yeah, and like the game
Uh-huh.
is still kind of like that. Except they made it that you can train a Pokemon, but it's still just better to catch a new one. You can nickname Pokemon so you feel like you're attached to it, and instead of releasing Pokemon, you now transfer them
they
to
have-
Professor Oak, and you're like, it's the same mechanic.
Do they have any restrictions on what you can name them?
I haven't checked.
Because we need to sit down and just try and name them the most outrageously offensive things we can and see if the system has a problem with
I
it.
have a feeling it would
Because like
it would just lock offensive names.
yeah, because okay, well I
Because you
don't.
can see names of other people's
Yeah,
Pokemon.
because I was gonna say if my Pokemon's called cunts and stuff.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
there's definitely a profanity filter on it.
Okay.
And so yeah, I mean the game is better, it looks better, it doesn't crash.
That's good.
But there's still a lot of things that are just really basic and pretty much, everything that's in the game we mentioned,
All right, well let's get on to the
Previous one.
smugness. Let's
Let's
do it. I'm
get
ready.
onto the list.
There's
So,
enough preamble. Let's feel good about ourselves.
so kind of an original thought in the episode we did before, I talked about how the trailer is pretty much the game is going to just be the trailer.
Sure.
And not only that, the game is less than the trailer.
Well, I mean, didn't we? And correct me if I'm wrong, because I haven't listened to it in ages. Because I don't listen to our stuff after I publish it. Because
Yeah,
I listen to
it's
it like
garbage.
Well, it's trash. I also have to edit it like 3 times through, so I've already
You're just
heard it
sick
3
of it,
times.
yeah.
Did we talk about the fact that that's not necessarily a negative thing? In that, like, the trailer felt very representative.
Yeah, so
not limiting, just representative.
yeah,
of the
and
product.
the trailer is very representative, and a lot of even during the beta when some features weren't in the game, which they're still not, we were like,
Ooh.
they're probably going to be in because everything that's in so far has been in the trailer,
Yeah.
and so these things that are in the trailer will probably be in the game. So sort of a
Sorry, I'm adjusting
you.
you. You keep moving.
so
Ben's restless.
so basically the trailer, the only thing that we don't have is trading. You can't trade Pokemon.
Trading?
Yeah, there's no trading in a
Isn't that,
Pokemon game.
like,
yeah, no, it's
the
weird.
co-
It's almost like that's half the reason the game exists.
Well, in fairness, I never. See, okay,
it's why
this-
they make 2 copies of every
well,
game.
this is where I have a problem because I play games like well, you know this already. Everyone at
Yeah.
home knows this, but I don't like other people. So when I play Pokemon games, I don't trade with anyone. I'm all about me.
You're all
like
about you?
I'm just
Yeah.
I don't talk to anyone. I
How do
don't
you, how do you
like
get that sick Alakazam then? You
Huh?
gotta trade for it.
no, I just rom it, mate. Just hack
Alright.
my DS.
Sure.
No, sure for necessity, but
Yeah.
but never would I go
fill
out
that
of my way.
Pokédex.
Yeah, never. But then I never had that desire.
I
so.
never filled the Pokedex.
But like I don't know. I've never had the problem of
Yeah.
trading is not a loss for me because I never do it.
So
I can see why you'd be upset
a
about.
couple huge things we got right.
Mhm.
Pokemon don't move around. Like, for fuck's sake, people, Pokemon were never going to move around. Of course they don't move
They
around.
don't move around regions
They
in
don't
the game.
move around. They do like spawn in certain like biomes. So like if
Sure.
you're near water, you'll get water Pokemon.
That
Makes
makes
sense.
sense.
But they don't move around. You don't see a Pokemon like run across the road.
Why would it?
Yeah, exactly. So you're all.
They're not
we were
re-
right on that one.
They're
So,
not real.
tick for us.
Sorry.
Um,
yes. Tick
we,
for us.
We
2 ticks even.
we literally like
Ben. Okay, so just for anyone's reference, Ben is gone and listened to the live. He's
I've
got a
listened to the,
notebook.
I've everything.
I want
we
it to
got
be
right.
clear. This isn't conjecture. Ben has a notebook.
So I like word for word said that all you have to do is to catch a Pokemon. Fuck. All you have to do to catch a Pokemon is throw a Pokeball at it. It's exactly how it works. It's like like that fucking paper toss game that was like on iOS. That's literally how you catch Pokemon.
Oh,
Like there's a little Pokemon out in the distance. You grab a
just flip
Pokeball and
it.
you throw
You
it.
flip it.
And if you
Can you miss?
Yes, you can miss.
Oh,
You can miss with a Master Ball and it just fails and you lose it.
so this is why I should never play this because I will miss every time.
Yeah, like
I'm
there's,
so bad at.
it's
touch
actually
screens.
it actually can be difficult. It's probably the most fun part of the game is catching Pokemon. Which good job,
Hey,
Niantic.
you know
made
what? You know what,
catching
Nintendo?
Pokemon fun.
It's kind of the
Good
crux of the
job.
game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like, they should almost do it for the DS games. If you like flick off.
Oh,
from
that'd be
from
cool.
the touchscreen, I'd play that. That'd
Why
be
don't
fun.
they do that?
Because
Hey, Pokemon.
that's-
What are the new ones? Moon and Gold.
Sun
Dusk?
and Moon.
Fuck whatever.
Sun Moon.
Bloody get Dusk and Moon is better. Get on it. Make that the mechanic. Flick your Pokeball. I
Yeah.
like that. That's really fun.
And you can spin the Pokeball and
Ooh.
it gives it spin.
Oh, that's
And you
awesome.
can do curveballs.
Oh, that's so cool.
And if you do a curve and you like hit the Pokemon, it has like a higher catch rate.
I'm on board.
So it's a cool mechanic.
No, that's
Like, it's-
really
It
great.
is
Yeah,
really fun.
that's fun.
But
Makes me want to download it, but I
Nah.
still want.
so
I don't. Not
we
worth the space
mentioned
on my
that-
phone.
we mentioned that battling will probably be entirely AI controlled.
What was my exact? I remember I had like a pithy. I was being a cunt about it. I was like,
You
you put it. It's like a, what was it? It's like a.
I have the quote here. You said you put them in a box, you shake it up, and you see who wins.
Yeah, it's like Boggle.
Yeah, and
Is
it
that
kind
how
of
it
is a
works?
bit like
Yeah,
that.
it is. Oh god.
So
wow.
the way the battling works is you can only battle in gyms,
Mm-hmm.
which are these special areas around the world.
Okay.
Where you
I'm
can-
giving you a look.
Yeah,
Why is
it'll
it
make
gonna-
more sense later on.
Uh,
And you battling sucks. It's
Uh-huh.
horrible. Every Pokemon has like 2 moves, and you have your tap move and then your hold down tap move,
Ooh.
and you can swipe left or right to dodge, which doesn't do anything because it lags, and you just spam tap. And if your CP number, which stands for combat points because they don't have levels,
I'm looking at the floor.
if your CP
Oh,
number is
boy.
higher than theirs, and maybe if you have a type advantage, you'll win, and if not, you'll lose.
That's the dumbest
And
thing I've ever
the
heard.
opponent, the opponent Pokemon is completely AI controlled, and usually stupid. So another tick for us on this game's shitty box.
Send me emails.
Yeah.
Tweet at Ben at literal citrus.
Um,
Let him know.
one thing I pulled off is that I said that there will be no trainer battles. You will not be able to fight people. Well, we were.
do you mean other people or
other people outside of gyms? We were like, there's
Well-
not going to be any like trainer on trainer battle,
which is
which is weird.
because that
for
was
a
in the
Pokemon game.
trailer as well.
Yeah, there were people sort of in the trailer. There's like people standing around like a skate park, and there's just like Pokemon out just fighting, and that was the one where we were like, are there going to be trainer battles? There aren't. There's gym battles, and they're bad.
What? Okay.
But there's no like, you can't like meet someone who plays Pokemon Go and be like, we should battle.
Just boggle our Pokemon.
Yeah, you
together.
can't boggle your Pokemon.
Why
together.
can't that? What
You
the
have to be at a
fuck?
gym, and they have to have one of their Pokemon
What
in
does
the gym.
what does gym boggling even do? Well, I guess
So-
we'll get to that. I don't
yeah.
want to jump the
'Cause
gun.
that's more stuff we didn't know existed.
Yeah. What else did we get right?
Well, I mean, there's the quote: "Put them in the box, shake it up, see who wins." It's basically
I mean,
the spoiler.
Yeah. Good on you, David, for being a dick.
Yeah, good job, David.
Pass, David. Well done.
So one of the big things was, we were like, it's not gonna be a Pokemon game. Like, it's not gonna be
Yeah.
a main series
Well,
Pokemon
no.
game because that makes no sense.
because it can't be.
Yeah,
It's a
'cause-
fucking. It's an app.
Yeah, because if it's as good as a main series Pokemon game, then who would play a main series?
And yeah,
Pokemon
we put
game
fucking
ever again?
Pokemon out of business.
Yeah,
they'd be
it
like,
would
oh,
ruin
we'll
them.
just
We're
play
like,
Pokemon Go forever.
Yeah, they'd be like, we made the best game ever.
We fucked up.
We fucked up. Now
Yeah.
we can't sell more games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah,
So and obviously the game is nothing like original Pokemon.
and it shouldn't be, but we were right, so that's
yeah,
good.
so tick for us.
Tick for us.
Um,
This is just an episode of us being smug. I love it. I love it. We don't get to do this nearly enough.
so one thing that I rambled on a bit in the previous episode was compared to Ingress, where in Ingress you have the 2 teams. So Ingress is the game that Niantic, who the guys who made Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
It was their previous game.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said that the problem with that game is that it's not really a problem. It's just one of the things that happens with that game is because
One of the characteristics.
yeah,
if
thanks,
you will.
thanks, David.
Bloody, I'm a
because
thesaurus, mate.
because you're competing with against an enemy team.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got these two teams, and you choose one from the start of the game, and that's your team.
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
You have a private communication channel with everyone on your team, and it's really,
You're all buds.
yeah, you're all friends and buddies. It means that when you meet someone else who plays Ingress, the first thing you ask them is what team are you on.
Yes.
And if we're on the enemy team, it's
You're
well,
like,
we
fuck
can't
off,
be
mate.
friends
Yeah.
then.
Yeah. I'm with you. Yeah.
So-
I remember.
I mentioned that Pokemon Go probably won't have,
Sorry.
that kind of rivalry between teams.
Yeah, that made it real fun and
We were
interesting. and-
partially correct. I'm going to
Oh.
give this one to us anyway because I want to be real smug. There are
Also, you're a biased judge, so it's fine. You run half of this podcast.
yeah, there are teams in the game. There's 3 of them.
3 isn't a lot.
Yeah, 3 is one more than Ingress. And
I see you've done some basic
Thanks.
math before.
Thanks,
Yeah.
I'm good at this.
3 is one more than 2, Ben.
So the teams, the way they work is the teams are linked to the gyms.
Sure.
So there's 3 teams in Pokemon Go. You have the blue team, the red team, and the yellow team.
Like blue, red, and
Like
yellow.
blue,
the
red, and
games.
yellow, the games.
What about green? Someone said in Japan. Shut up.
In Japan.
Shut up. It was the only place you could buy that shit.
Yeah.
Get
Well,
off-
and then we
get out
got
of
Leaf
it.
Green though, technically.
That's because.
We got the remake of Green.
Yeah, I know, which is
weird.
weird. Why wasn't it blue?
Yeah.
Fuck off, Nintendo.
I wish it was Water Blue.
Fire red and water blue.
Well,
I'm
there
all
was
about
like
it.
rumors that Water Blue was the thing. Anyway.
I'm all about it. Sorry. Also, no, I'll come back to it later. Continue.
So
I have an idea for a thing that we'll do later.
the 3 teams, they basically define which team you fight for in regards to the Pokemon gyms.
Yeah.
So the Pokemon gyms themselves are just they're basically portals in Ingress, except there's a lot less of them. So they actually took, this is actually something really clever that they did. They took the location data of portals in Ingress and they converted about 1/3 of them into Pokemon Go locations.
Yes.
And there's Pokestops and then there's gyms. So Pokestops are just places where you get items, so like Pokeballs and eggs and more Pokeballs and like potions and shit. And gyms are they're basically the meat and potatoes of the game. Like
The meat and potatoes.
yeah, well, it's the meat. The capturing is the potatoes. In this, well,
That's-
no. The capturing is the meat because it's the good part. The gym battles are the potatoes because it's the boring side that you just do because potatoes.
Well, you have to get the carbs. That's
yeah,
the truth.
because you
know.
kind of have to.
Well, you'll die if you don't get carbs. I assume. I don't know anything about food.
You probably.
It's a good
I don't know,
analogy.
maybe.
I assume.
You die without potatoes.
Hey, we can say whatever we want. This
Yeah.
is our podcast. It
So
doesn't have to be true.
you join a team, and you can only join a team when you're level 5. So they've definitely not.
Well, how do you get to level? Hang on. How do you get to level 5?
You just capture Pokemon.
So you level up by
You
capturing
level
Pokemon.
up as a player.
Oh,
by
so you have like a player
getting
level.
new Pokedex entries.
Pokedox
Pokedex
entries.
entries. Yeah.
Yeah,
Pokedex entries.
sure. Pokedox entries. Yeah.
So they've definitely there's definitely less of a focus on the teams. So it's probably not going to be the same kind of idea in Ingress where you only hang out with people of the same team of you. But having said that,
But do the teams affect you outside of the gyms?
no.
Then what?
So the main issue is that teams only affect you when you're going to a gym.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, but the problem is there's no other player interaction apart from gyms. So the only time you're ever going to play Pokemon Go with someone, unless you're just like walking around capturing Pokemon
Is in a
together,
gym.
is in a gym, which is based on teams.
Okay. Well, hang on though. Here's the thing though.
So it
is
still creates this idea where it's just like you
I can-
kind of are going to be more friends with people in the same team as you.
I can see a little bit of value though in if we both take our iPhones out and we go for a walk and we're capturing Pokemon.
Yeah.
We can both capture the same one.
I don't know.
Good, because that to me, because that's like a fun, like that's like competition. It's like who gets it first.
Yeah,
if
I
we both
haven't-
stand there and flick, you know.
I don't think many people have done tests, or at least I haven't seen anyone confirm whether the Pokemon that you see are like server side or they're just client side.
I assume they would be like they would have a spawn thing server side, and then client side it would like
Just tells you.
tell you
yeah,
when?
From what I've been thinking, it's probably a similar system to how they did items in Ingress, or at least dropped items. Because in Ingress you can just drop items anywhere, and anyone else can pick them up. So they're probably, and like, so that idea of having just random locations around the world of this is an item, this is also an item. They probably did the same thing for Pokemon. You know, it
Yeah,
would, if
yeah,
they're
yeah.
if they're from like a server strain perspective, if they were able to do it in Ingress, which has a fairly sizable player size, they probably pulled it off.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like they, you know, actually, interestingly, I think from Ingress to Pokemon Go, somehow their netcode has gotten better in general,
Yeah, definitely.
which is, most companies get worse over time with netcode because of
think-
scale.
I think part of it is because there's not as much sort of interactivity between the players on a huge scale. The thing with Ingress is that because, you know, every single portal can, you know, swap teams at a moment's notice, and like links can form which can block your links, and fields can form above you which block you from doing anything. Like all this crazy stuff can happen at once. It means that there would be a much larger sort of strain on the servers, and everything would be running a bit slower.
Well,
Whereas
okay.
with Pokemon Go, the only thing it's really tracking is where are the Pokemon, what's happening in a gym. That's about it.
So I guess what's weird to me, and this might just be because I don't really use my phone for games or anything,
Sure.
is so you've got your so is it easy to change teams in Pokemon Go or is it hard?
You cannot change team. Well, changing teams is making a new account.
Okay.
It locks you into a team. So you hit level 5, you go to your first
And
gym,
you
they
pick a
say
team.
pick a team, and you are stuck in that team.
Interesting.
You could probably
Can you battle against people on the same team or not?
no. So when
So
you go
have
to
to battle other people on.
So
other
when you go to a
teams.
gym of the same team, you can train against it, which makes the gym quote unquote stronger. Basically, the stronger a gym, the more Pokemon can be put in to defend it. So you basically deposit Pokemon into gyms, and then when someone from either team comes along, if it's the same team, they train against it, which strengthens it. And
Yeah.
if an enemy team comes along, they attack it in the same way that you train against it, just through the battle
Yeah,
system.
that makes sense.
And if you can defeat all the Pokemon in the gym, it doesn't like flip it to your team. It just lowers what's called prestige or some shit.
Okay.
And when the prestige goes to 0, then it becomes neutral, and then you can capture it.
What the fuck?
It-
So it's just a very elaborate game of King of the Hill.
Yeah, and it's the problem with the team system is the same issue that Ingress has, is that if you are in a city which is dominated by a certain team, it's impossible to not
Well, you can't
have
come
fun
back
playing
from
on
it.
that team. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because once you're behind, a lot of players will play on the team that's doing well because it's fun to win.
Well, it's why you need things like team balancing.
Yeah.
Basically, that's why things like your Halo multiplayer and your COD multiplayer have team balancing.
Yeah, but because this is such a big scale social game, they're not going to just force people to swap teams.
No, but maybe
They need to have mechanics that
Well, you just have a-
allow
yeah.
smaller teams to sort of have a
you have a
have
tool.
go.
You have a tool that means that like when a certain team is, in your pie chart of the
Yeah.
3 teams, when a certain team is dominating
More
so
than
much,
a third, yeah.
suddenly when you go to a gym as a new player, you only have 2 options.
Yeah.
That it's as simple as that, or
So,
whatever you want to do with it.
Take a wild guess out of the 3 teams, red, blue, yellow. What team is just dominating
Red.
the entire world? Yeah. It's fucking red team. Like, goddamn. So
Because Pokemon Red has a fucking Charizard on
Yeah,
it. It's not
like,
hard to work
it's-
out why.
it's fucking infuriating.
Here's the problem though: is they didn't pick. I'm sorry, I'm getting angry. They
didn't
didn't pick
pick green,
fucking
blue, yellow.
irrelevant to Pokemon team names. They were like, let's pick 3 Pokemon game names, and the
Have one
most
of them be
popular
red.
and highest selling fucking I can't even speak. The highest selling game of Pokemon, like
ever.
fuck. Red
Yeah.
sold the most units of that generation. Of course, it's going to be the most popular. It'd be like calling your teams Gold, Silver, and Crystal. Gold's going to win.
Yeah.
It's not a fight. It's just math.
It's like saying the team that wins and then just
All right.
2 shitty teams.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
done.
So
Just that's infuriating. From like that's so
Yeah.
easy to fix.
it's
Call them Team fucking Bonky Dink, Hooky Kook, and Mario. I mean, Mario would win, but like whatever.
Yeah.
Don't.
I mean, at
Yeah.
least in Ingress, the 2 teams, which was
Sorry.
Resistance and Enlightened, they were both sort of neutral enough and both had their own sort of draw.
But they don't bring connotations to the
Yeah,
table.
people were like, oh, like I like playing Resistance, and people were like, oh, I like playing Enlightened. Like, they're both cool.
Yeah.
Whereas it's like, you're either going to play Pokemon Blue, the shit one, Pokemon Yellow, the weird one, or Pokemon Red, the fucking Charizard one.
The illest one, and
Like,
also
the best one.
Also, red is the color of fire type in that game, and the fire starters are always the coolest.
Or is the
so,
cool? Yeah.
I'm making an open hand gesture. It's not showing over the mic, and
it's-
I'm like, what the fuck, Nintendo?
So it's the kind of thing where it's just like
Calling you out, Nintendo.
they've definitely tried to avoid the issue of teams being a major sort of part of the
like a
game.
controlling factor.
Yeah, but
But in doing
they've
that,
kind of
it's,
failed because there's no other thing apart from being in a team.
well, it sounds like in doing so, they failed to gamify their game. If that
Yeah,
makes sense.
in a sense, like they've sort of just given arbitrary slaps of paint to everyone, but the systems behind those slaps of paints is just not interesting.
See, that's disappointing.
Like
more
the
than
combat's shit. Like the combat is actually just atrocious.
Yeah, well, here's the thing though, is what
It
this. Let's talk about something else. Let's talk about why they made this game, and I have an answer, but what do you think? Why did Nintendo pay? What is the company called?
Niantic.
Niantic money to make this game. Why do you think?
I think it's a test of the mobile games industry.
Try again.
Money?
Try again.
I don't know.
It's how much does Pokemon Go cost?
Nothing.
And how many people are talking about it?
Like a fuck ton. It's just marketing, isn't it?
It's just marketing.
Yeah.
It's the same as
Well, I mean, they've said that they're going
why did Bethesda put out Fallout? How much does Fallout Shelter
is free,
cost?
Yeah.
Why did they do that?
It's just free advertising for Fallout 4.
Literally, and people are talking about it. It is.
It keeps people
Making-
tied. It keeps people thinking about Pokemon till the next game comes out. Because the cool thing is that they're able to. Because currently there's only the original 151. We don't really know if Mew's in yet. Pokemon
Sure.
that are in the game, but they've sort of they've confirmed that they're going to release, the next generation, Gen 2, Gen 3 Pokemon over
Sure.
time. So it's probably just going to become a thing where it's going to be a main series Pokemon release. So we got Sun Moon coming up, and then there's going to be people are going to get tired of that. But then they couldn't do another game in that amount of time, but now they can go new Pokemon Go generation, and people lose their shit because now they can get the weird water starter crocodile thing.
Feraligatr.
The what?
Ferali-
Alligator.
That's what it's called.
Sure thing, David.
Look. So basically, this Ben looks like I've just destroyed his innocence. So this whole exercise from Nintendo is an exercise in what might be the most devious marketing we've seen in a long time. Companies have been doing this for years, though. And the truth is that it's very honest advertising because you actually get something for your. If you download Pokemon Go and you play it, you're actually getting value added from that marketing.
Yeah, you get something
It's
back.
different.
Like
It's different than a YouTube ad for the new game because you actually get to, you're having fun. Same with Fallout Shelter. You get an experience, but it's also just advertising.
yeah, like
But it's the next wave of advertising.
the biggest thing was in the beta there was really nothing in terms of like a tutorial or an introduction or any sort of just character to the game.
deep
It
end.
just felt like a husk. And they were
It felt like an app.
yeah, they were like, well, we're not going to put the story, quote unquote, in because we don't want to, we don't want to spoil it or anything.
Sure.
So when the game came out and then I updated to the release version, it opens with the standard professor greeting you, and then he says, well, let's catch your first Pokemon, and then something which never happens in the game is that 3 Pokemon pop up around you, and it's fucking Charizard, Bulbasaur, and Squirtle, and you're like, this is Pokemon.
And all
like,
of those,
this is just Pokemon.
All of those mirror
And it
neurons
just-
and
yeah.
receptors fire off in your
and
brain,
you're like,
and
you're like, god damn.
and you shit your pants because
Yeah.
you're like, oh my god, I love Pokemon.
And then I got Squirtle, of
it's
course, 'cause
Pokemon on my
Squirtle's-
phone. It's so good.
Squirtle's my favorite. I love Squirtle.
He's alright.
Yeah.
It's whatever.
So-
I mean, you're wrong. That's okay.
I mean, Bulbasaur's the worst, let's be honest.
The worst. He's a flower
He's a
creature.
It's a weird plant.
Just a weird plant creature.
So,
What are you doing, Bulbasaur?
I mean, they've definitely hit the nail and the professor in the game looks really funny. Like, it's not Oak, it's like a new professor.
It's just they're getting more handsome, I feel.
Oh yeah, he's got like the backpack. He's like the tracker because he's the
Oh.
Pokemon Go professor.
Of course
so he's
he
like the
is.
adventurer one.
Yeah, they've just gotten more and more handsome over the years.
Oh yeah, like the
I'm alright
French
with
one. Ooh.
Oh, what a
He's
babe.
what's his name? Sycamore.
Who's to say? Probably.
Probably. I think
We have
so.
no way of looking it up.
No,
either.
it's not like I've played that game a lot.
We also have no way of searching up what his name probably is. But look, here. Okay.
So I mean, it's if you want, like, my opinion on the game in general is that it's probably going to follow the same suit that Ingress did, where it started off being kind of shit, but they made it better over time.
Okay, that's fine. And I guess to end with, I'll ask you this question then, and we'll probably wrap up after that. But if you weren't looking at it as a game, but rather it was a piece of advertising that you had to consume for the next Pokemon game,
Yeah.
would you call it an enjoyable way to be advertised to?
Yeah. I think it is.
So then I
if you
think
have a
it's-
group of friends who
then I
all
think
love
it's done its
Pokemon,
job.
yeah,
Like-
because like when I was playing it in the beta, you know, I played it a lot more than I do now because I was like, it's Pokemon Go. I'm going to play it a lot.
Sure.
And you know, I was on the bus at one point, and I was just like, I'm just going to open it and just drive because we're going across along the river. So I was like, you know, water Pokemon going along, and the fucking like Dratini popped up.
Oh,
and I was
shit.
like,
Yeah, that's cool.
and I caught it, and I was like, holy fucking shit. And it was that moment of like when you're just playing it absentmindedly, and then like your favorite Pokemon pops up, you're like,
Dude,
ah.
that moment in a Pokemon game is gold.
Yeah, and it's
like I can't tell you how valuable that is.
yeah,
like
and Pokemon Go definitely nails that. Like
So-
even when you like meet a Pokemon, they have all the noises. Like the 3D models for the Pokemon are actually the best 3D models that we've seen like in any of the Pokemon games.
Oh,
like they're
it
beautiful.
makes me really happy.
Yeah. So I mean, in terms of quality, and from just like a sort of, if you're a huge Pokemon fan, like yes, it's worth it.
Yeah.
From a gameplay perspective, give
whatever.
it a few months.
But and then from the advertising side of things, it's a great way to
Oh
consume
yeah, it's
your advertising.
definitely going to tide them over.
And
till
it's
next Pokemon.
better than me watching 4 or 5 YouTube ads of the same thing.
Yeah.
So okay, people that are out there, I feel like I accidentally soured in the middle. I was like, what if it's just corporate companies making money? But that's what everything is.
That's what everything is.
But look, it sounds like what they've done is they've produced a thing that they set out to produce. It's fun in bits,
Yeah.
and other bits aren't fun, so it's basically just a game.
yeah, I mean,
But it's on your phone and it's free.
I mean,
So
it's the
download
it is the kind of thing where it's going to get better over time.
And I'll probably download it tomorrow and have a
Yeah,
little
just
crack
have
at
a,
it.
Have a play.
I probably won't, but
Yeah.
I've said that now, so whatever.
No, you have to.
No, I have to. But yeah, I mean, it sounds like it was fun, and we got to be smug a lot. So
Yeah, I mean, we were right. So
for us, this is a
suck
10 out of 10
shit,
episode.
Internet.
Suck
we
a
were
dick,
correct.
Nintendo. Not literally. That's like please don't. As a company, that'd be horrendous. You have a lot of employees.
That would be that'd be a lot
They have
of.
a lot of employees. Where are you
Yeah.
gonna get that many dicks?
You get like a rash
Oh
at
god.
least.
On your what, like cold sores or something?
Yeah, just you break out in something.
So you catch something. Anyway, we'll see you guys next week.
When are you gonna do the outro?
Huh?
Like you can find us at
Oh, yeah, sure.
little addendum.
Well, whatever.
David forgot to do
Well, I
this.
wasn't going to because the episode ended with sucking dick, so I felt inappropriate to plug our sponsor at this point. But this podcast is brought to you in part by Hover.com. They provide you. They're basically a domain hosting and transfer service. I can use them. That's how easy they are. And look, I'll tell you this much. They're really transparent. They tell you when they're gonna bill you. They're not like fucking. I hate domain.com. They make it so hard to cancel or add or do anything. Fucking Hover is so easy and clean. Get amongst it.
Is that slander?
Probably.
Saying that you hate domain.com?
It doesn't matter. No, I hate the way that it forces me
Oh,
to use
okay.
it. Yeah. Like, I hate
Nice little
Yeah,
adjustment.
I hate the
there.
fact that I can't use it. Whereas Hover is like real easy. Look at what I did there. And our referral link is in the show notes. You'll get $2 off when you transfer or buy a domain. Which, if you know anything about how much domains are costing, that's like, you know, you're going from $10 a year to like
Yeah, the domains are pretty cheap.
pretty cheap. So you're actually saving a
So
decent
$2
percentage.
is quite a lot.
It's quite a lot. And we're also brought to you by the sponsors over at patreon.com/DCMworks. Yeah, if you have any money laying about, any spare
Give
change,
us a buck.
chuck us $1 a month or just $1 ever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, any spare change you have, we really appreciate it. And as always, we'll see you guys next week. Ben was drinking iced tea.
Yeah.
It was probably a song that reminded me of it, or I'd done an Arnold Schwarzenegger voice.
Writing is definitely an isolating thing.
From an outside perspective, that's weird as
It makes
fuck.
us look really mental.
But that is because of what it kind of said about art.
I had fun in bits. There were fun bits.
We went and bought a value pack of straps.
Oh my god, we did. There's a big lesson here to learn about storytelling.